Welcome to another episode of Ask the Experts. I'm your co-host, Jeffrey Walk.
And I'm Elizabeth Finlayson. We're from the networking group, TNG, which is Chicago's premier business networking group focused on helping members and making a difference in the communities we serve. Ask the Experts is an effort to share our knowledge with a wider audience.
Each week, Ask the Experts responds to questions from individuals and organizations about a problem they have faced.
We always welcome questions and feedback, and you can reach us at asktheexperts@gmail.com. That's asktheexperts, all one word, at gmail.com. On to this week's episode. Hi, in today's episode, we will explore ways nutrition can help boost our immune system. Our guest today is Marcy Kirshenbaum, who runs Enhanced Nutrition in Northbrook, Illinois. Experts are telling us that boosting our immune system is one of the most important ways of preventing disease and mitigating the effects if we encounter pathogens like COVID-19. Many of our listeners and followers want to learn more, so we asked Marcy to provide some of her expertise and share a few helpful suggestions.
Marcy, thank you for joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit about the practice that you have and the services that you offer?
Thank you, Jeffrey and Elizabeth. I'm happy to be here. And definitely nutrition is such an important part of just our overall well-being. And my nutrition practice focuses on the uniqueness of each person, their health challenges, their lifestyle, because not everyone has the same nutritional needs. So, there may be dietary restrictions, health conditions, age. All of these components influence really the optimal diet for an individual. And understanding a person's story really tells me how they've gotten to the place they are with their health. And it allows me to guide them and how to best address their concerns. So I play detective and look for the root causes of symptoms. Typically, we start with a real deep dive into their health history and health goals. And to help my clients reach those goals, some of my services include functional nutrition testing, and that may involve nutrient deficiencies, food sensitivities, digestive imbalances. Genetic testing is another extremely important aspect with understanding potential roadblocks in someone reaching their health goals. Diet and lifestyle definitely influence the expression of our genes, while our genes can also influence the ability to interact with their environment. And so the better you understand your genetic makeup, the easier it is to customize the lifestyle plan that's most supportive of someone's long-term health. So when I'm working with my clients, I meet them where they are and help them move forward at a pace that supports their success. And this may involve a detailed food plan, nutritional supplements to support any imbalances they may have. Some clients may ask for help in cleaning out their pantries, learning to choose high quality, nutrient-dense foods. So I really make myself available to coach, guide, and support my clients so they can achieve an improved level of wellness.
That's great. That's great.
What are 3 things that everyone can do today to boost their immune system?
Okay, so boosting your immune system, it's really looking at making healthy choices. And that's just in general. We really want to, number one, which seems so obvious, but most people don't realize, is staying well hydrated. And when we talk about staying well hydrated, that will be with water. We don't want to be drinking coffee all day long or sodas, all those things that have a lot of additional junk, I'll call it, in it, but really making sure we're hydrated. Right there, that helps cleanse and wash a lot of junk out of our system. It keeps us alert. Another thing that's really important, and this is like in general, because again, I talked about the uniqueness of people, but let's talk about in general, we really want to make dietary choices that include anti-inflammatory foods. So that would be foods that support our body rather than stress our body. This would involve eating foods that are not processed, foods without artificial dyes and flavors, no added hormones, chemicals, pesticides, artificial sweeteners. some of the basic inflammatory foods that are just in general are going to be gluten, dairy, corn, soy, eggs, some people with nuts, but most importantly, sugar. Biggest inflammatory food that most people are addicted to because it really tastes good. But when we're eating animal protein, you want to look for animal protein that doesn't have any added antibiotics or hormones added. Animals that have been raised humanely. Those are all going to reduce what I call our toxic load, how much the toxins that we're getting from our environment. Our body naturally produces toxins when we metabolize our food. So we want to not add that additional stress to our body. Additionally, if we look more very specifically at our uniqueness, let's say I really love kale. My body feels great when I eat kale, but maybe your body gets some type of digestive distress every time you eat kale. Well, then kale's not a good food for you, but it is for me. So even though it's considered a healthy food, doesn't mean it's healthy for everybody. So that's a piece that we always need to look at. And, that always goes back to our biological uniqueness and taking good care of ourselves and listening to our bodies. Another piece that's really important to look at, even though it's not specific nutrition, is going to look at our sleep, our exercise, our emotional, spiritual health. And that's important because we've got to look at the whole person, the whole body. We can't ignore that stress. If we have, let's say, really high stress, it depletes some of our nutrients. And so we can't ignore those pieces and understand that those symptoms that we're presenting can then be impacted by, of course, we go full circle back to what we're eating and to support our bodies. And we really want to look at, a lot of people say, well, I'm stressed or whatever it may be, is maybe some of the medications we go on that are acting like Band-Aids on a wound, but they're not really looking at the root cause and trying to figure out what that is, because the Band-Aids eventually fall off. So those are the major things that we're really looking at.
That's great. So, I know we're going to be heading into flu season and at the end, another flu season perhaps, and there's the COVID-19, which is coming in waves, and there's other cold seasons and whatnot that'll come in the fall. What are some of the signs that our immune systems might be compromised as we head into some of these areas, and even as we're trying to just deal with the current COVID-19? What should we look for?
Well, we want to look for, are we feeling run down, tired, low energy, no motivation? Is there something going on with our digestive system? If we have poor digestion, and we use the words constipation, diarrhea, those are not words we want to pretend are embarrassing words. That's important to recognize what's going on. Do we have chronic bloating, excessive gas, heartburn? Are we overweight? Do we have chronic health conditions, diabetes, heart conditions, autoimmune? Do we notice that we have brain fog or memory problems? Do we notice that we're getting sick a lot? Colds that we just can't fight? Those are all things that you're going to say, something's going on. What do I need to do to strengthen my immune system?
Right. That's great.
So it's really interesting because I think that we all want to feed our kids in a healthy way, but I have also noticed as a parent that the rules that people have for their kids is like, oh, it's okay if they have this dessert or they have this because, well, they don't get fat the way I do, And so I just really want to say, are there nutritional changes that parents should consider for their kids and young adults, since health experts are saying that even kids and young adults are not immune to COVID-19 or other kind of health conditions?
Absolutely, Elizabeth. What is really important is that we not to just look at food as whether it makes you fat or not, because then you're taking away the health of it. And what we want to look at, that kids, they're humans. We're all humans. And we tend to feel that when our kids are young, it's okay to eat lots of sugar and snacks and, oh, they don't like vegetables, don't worry about it. Well, what we don't think about is that supporting our bodies actually starts in utero with moms. And getting your kids on a path to health is so important. Food is information. So, what message are you giving your body or helping your kids give their bodies specifically about, like, say, your immune system? Are you asking your body to work extra hard and because your taste buds want to feel good all the time? Or are you telling your body, you know what, I really want to support you. I really want to avoid the path of dis-ease so I can grow and be healthy, because disease starts very, very young. It just doesn't present till we're older. So eating those healthy foods that what I talked about earlier, it should be the same for the kids.
I'm so glad you brought up about people and weight not being the only indicator of health. I have so many like beautiful skinny friends who are like, I ate a brownie, so I didn't eat lunch. I was like, so you didn't eat salad because you ate a brownie? Now you just had a bunch of sugar all by itself. So yeah, that's a great point. Thank you for bringing
Well,
that up.
and that's the food is information. What information did they just give their body? They gave their body information that it's not, there's no nutrition here.
Yeah.
Right. That's a great point. So it's interesting because as we're talking about dietary changes and things that we should think about to boost our immune systems, they're talking about maybe a second wave of COVID-19, and maybe, we're already starting to see some of the numbers rising and across the states because of, people not wearing masks or whatnot. Are there some dietary things that we should maybe consider now just to kind of ward it off and maybe give ourselves a boost just so that we can be a little bit more resistant to it?
Absolutely. It's never too late to get on a path to wellness. And I think COVID-19 has kind of, our antennas are up and paying a little more attention. It's been kind of a problem because you're quarantined and people are like, oh, I'm eating and I'm baking and I'm doing all this fun stuff because we're scared, we want that comfort, but at the same time, we're contributing to the stress of our immune system. So the good thing is people are spending more time at home, and we've actually seen an increase in people cooking. And they're not ordering out. They're not necessarily, now that restaurants are open again, not necessarily comfortable going there. So what you want to do is when you are at home cooking, you want to avoid the prepackaged foods. You want to make things from fresh ingredients. This is right now with summer, it's a great time with farmers markets, lots of good fresh fruits and vegetables. Cooking doesn't have to be complicated. We want to make it simple. We want to use lots of herbs and spices. Those all support the immune system. We want to eat a rainbow. And I say eat the rainbow doesn't mean eat Skittles. It means to be eating a rainbow of fruits and vegetables. Pick all the different colors because all those colors have different benefits for our body, something called polyphenols that really have filled with antioxidants. So look at your day of what you're eating and say, did I eat the rainbow today? And it's a fun thing to actually do with kids to see if they can get in the rainbow every day. And like I said, this time of year is particularly easy to do that. We also want to choose our snacks wisely. Stop the constant intake of sugar, whether it's in the form of ice cream, cakes, cookies, chips, pastas, breads. Those are all considered sugar. Instead, you want to choose cut up vegetables, fresh fruit, hummus, guacamole, a handful of nuts. These are all nutrient dense options, which are supporting your system to really bring the stress down so your immune system isn't working so hard. And that's the goal, to get yourself ready that should you get a virus, your body is going to respond more positively. If you're already inflamed and your immune system is already so stressed, if you get a virus, so it's piling on top, that's where the people are getting into a lot of trouble. So you want your immune system to not be feeling like it's a 5-alarm fire now, because otherwise, who knows how it's going to respond.
Right. That's a great point. It's interesting because I do a lot of work with other people, and they often talk about not only their nutrition, but counting calories. And I work out with other people. And a lot of times they talk about, well, it's just a matter of kcals or what's the form of the calories. But I
Correct.
think the color spectrum is really interesting. And, it's interesting because when you start looking at people that are being more active as they get older, and some of the dietary changes they should maybe consider now so that their bodies can adapt to some of those stresses and work and whatever else might be out there.
Well, and that's a really good point, because some people figure, well, I'll exercise, and then they may over exercise, push their bodies too hard, and they may support their bodies with calories, but they're not supporting the body with nutrition.
Mhm.
And that's a disconnect that we have so much, is that calories in and calories out. That's all that we need to do. And it's way beyond that.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
Yeah, so Marcy, I'm really glad you've covered these things. I know, like, as a hardworking American and I'm just trying to get through my workload and get to the next thing. I know I tend to skip nutrition in order to get through the next thing. And I think a lot of people do that. It's coffee or sugar or whatever gets me to stay up the latest so I can get as much work done. So I want to say, like, thank you so much for sharing your expertise, and I will take these things into my day. If folks want to get in touch with you and learn more about ways that they can improve their overall health or customize it to them and boost their immune system, how can they best reach you?
Well, the best way is to go to my website, which is www.enhancenutrition.net, or you can email me at marcy@enhancenutrition.net. And I am always happy to have a quick conversation with someone if they have some questions, because it's so personalized. We can't assume that, I always tell people, whether it's the keto diet, a paleo diet, high calorie, low calorie, low carb, whatever it may be, it doesn't work for everybody. And it doesn't always work for everybody. It may work for you for a little bit, but not all the time. So I'm happy to talk to people, because there's a lot of confusing information out there.
That's great. That's great.
Such
Well,
a great point.
Marcy, thank you for your time today. The information and guidance are very helpful. I'm sure our listeners are going to find it equally useful. So again, thank you, and we'll be looking forward to sharing with our listeners.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for watching this week's episode of Ask the Experts.
I'm your co-host, Jeffrey Walk.
And I'm Elizabeth Finlayson.
Don't forget to send us your questions, suggestions, or ideas. As always, you can reach us at asktheexperts@gmail.com. That's asktheexperts, all one word, @gmail.com.
Have a productive week.